Hey there. So I want to talk a little bit about what my art is trying to show and the meaning in my art and what I'm influenced by. Um, I've started developing my style, and I like to paint people in a way that shows lots of movement and action and shows people in a positive way. I think that what I'm trying to communicate is a universal expression, whether that's togetherness or movement or happiness. I think that there's a lot of things that people can relate to in seeing figures and forms and plants and animals, and so I've chosen to bring all of those things together in my artwork. And the way that I do my artwork is in such a way that I paint or I draw as an intuitive and improvisational act. So it's something that I do in the moment, and the outcome of it is not necessarily predetermined. But when I get to a certain point, I start to see what the message of each piece happens to be. And sometimes that's not super clear right away, and that can become more clear as the painting or the drawing progresses. And then after I think about it and I see, what is the aesthetic, what is the meaning, what is the message in each of the pieces. Um, I've drawn since I was a kid, basically a child, and I've drawn many different things. I think I'm drawn more so to drawing people and plants and animals. So I feel that those are the mediums that allow the form of expression that I'm interested in. So, in order to communicate that, I've drawn lots of people and done lots of realism, real paintings of people, and over the years I've developed my style, which is a simplification of the form of the person or the figure. And the figure, if you think about it, the anatomy from person to person, the general mechanics of everything are relatively the same. I mean, we come in different shapes and lengths and all of that, but the general anatomy is the same. So, by knowing the fundamentals of how does, for example, an arm relate to a shoulder or a torso, and how can you move those things and still have that figure be cohesive? Um, those are the kind of things that I've developed and focused on developing, and to find my own way of expression in my art. And even with plants and animals, I've drawn realist plants, realist animals, realist birds, all of these type of forms. And by drawing that, I can kind of understand what is the fundamental form. So what are the most basic lines that will give me the form that I'm looking for? So that's become a big part of my expression. And my ultimate goal is to make art that helps people feel connected, helps people feel positive, helps people feel happy or uplifted, um, while providing a beauty, aesthetic beauty. Um, and so I think that the goal of what I'm trying to do is to speak to a really large audience. I don't really feel like art should be just in a museum or just in a gallery. I think art should be accessible in a lot of forms. So I like to put my art on t-shirts, I like to put it on paper, on paintings, digital art, tote bags, all kinds of means of bringing my art to other people. So I think the method of communication of my art varies a lot, so I'm not really bound to any one specific type of medium. I think that the medium can change, so I could do acrylics, or I could also do oil painting, or I could do digital art. I think that um, we can provide what is needed in a lot of different types of mediums, in terms of the message of the art. So that's kind of an overview of where I feel my art is currently. I think it may evolve, but within the same general framework that I just mentioned. I think that my art might take certain forms or evolve, but I think the general fundamentals are here of what I'm trying to accomplish, what I'm trying to do, and the aesthetic that I've set out for myself, the goals that I've set out for my art, and I'm excited to continue to bring my art to the world, to talk about it, to hear about it. I like hearing other people talk about my art. So if there's, certain opinions that someone has, I'm happy to hear them. If there's a certain reaction that my art gives you, I'm happy to hear it. And I like to have others engage with my art and see what it means to them, see through a different set of eyes what does my art communicate, or how is it interpreted by someone else. Because sometimes, even if as an artist you draw something and you intend it to mean a certain thing, someone might interpret it differently, and it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just how it is. Um, the art that someone looks at, or the image that someone looks at, is going through the filter of their mind, and basically they are the ones that will determine for themselves what meaning it has to them. So to me, that's very exciting. I like to have artwork that can be interpreted in many different ways. However, I generally like to keep my art positive and optimistic, and so I hope that that is the general mood that it gives people. Because in the forms and the expressions and the colors and the things, that I try and communicate are generally around that theme, because I feel that there's enough negativity in the world, there's enough, you could call it darkness, and things that might be not so happy, or, things that don't uplift the human spirit. So I think there's enough of that. I'm not trying to do any of that. What I'm trying to do is the opposite. I'm trying to do things that uplift the human spirit, that inspire people, that make people feel happy, that make people feel optimistic, that make people feel connected, and feel like the art that I've made is for them. So I want my art to feel like it was made for you. And to do that with a wide variety of people can be challenging, but I don't necessarily ascribe a certain type of cultural reference or social reference or any of that to my art. I leave it in a way general and a little bit open-ended in the way that I draw people, so that someone that looks at it doesn't feel like it's of a culture or a society or something that they don't belong to. So I want my art to feel like it belongs to everyone. Different ages, different walks of life, kids, adults, men, women, people that identify differently, people that identify their gender differently. I'm open to having my art being interpreted by the individual's life experiences. So I like to create in a way that uplifts people, helps them think that, you know, things aren't so bad, things are actually pretty good, life is actually pretty good, the future is good, and if we work together, if we see positively, if we communicate well with each other, we can achieve that. So there's some ideas of maybe utopia and extreme positivity there, which could be good because it would be a counterbalance to negativity and being disillusioned and being unaffected and unconcerned. So this way I would love my art to speak in a way that makes people feel connected, concerned for others, and in a way that makes them care for others and see the world in that way. And the reason that I draw plants and animals and sometimes different scenery in my artwork is that I think that those are the things that are some of the basics of being a human. If you think before we had cities, before we had our modern societies, we were a little bit more connected to nature. We were more surrounded by animals and the cycle of life that they are very much in tune with. So I think that communicating all of that maybe helps people think of a little bit more of the essence of being a human and being a human within the natural world, which is where we started. We started as humans in a natural world. Now we are humans in a technological world in addition to a natural world. So our own technology keeps on growing, keeps on developing, and the natural world, although it evolves, it has a cyclical pattern like the seasons, and perhaps technology is not cyclical, it is a little bit more linear in that it's always trying to achieve growth, whereas natural patterns or patterns of the earth are a little more cyclical, where even like the seasons you have, you're going from spring, summer, fall, winter, back to spring. So it's this cyclical chart that defines it, whereas a lot of technology and economies and what we have today is basically about growth. So it's a one-way trajectory up, even though there are some downs along the path upwards. I think that hopefully we can become more so in tune with natural elements, with the earth, with our bodies, respecting other people, respecting animals and plants, the earth, respecting the earth. So I think that these are the things that I'm aiming to communicate with my art, and I hope I can do it in many ways and communicate it to as many people as possible, and give what I know and what I'm able to create to the world and put it out to the world, and putting it out with love, and hopefully it comes back, the reflection of it comes back in a positive way, and hopefully it makes a positive and meaningful impact on other people. This is what my art means to me, and this is what I want to continue to create. I've been drawing most of my life, basically since I was 2 or 3 years old, and so I will continue to draw forever, and I draw and paint and make art forever, and I hope to continue to develop these ideas, sharpen my ideas, make them even more explicit, give them to a broader audience, and continue to see how my art can influence people in a good way, and influence all kinds of people in a good way. And some of my influences in terms of other artists, I would say, are one would be Keith Haring, one would be Takashi Murakami, Japanese artist, and also Matisse, whose work I really enjoy, and also Picasso, because of how he broke out of a lot of traditional ways of representing things and allowing himself to develop his own style over his lifetime and his career. So those are some of my references. I can go a little bit more deeply into why I feel like those artists resonate with me. But for me, I have developed my style over several years and have created it to a point where I feel like it's my own unique voice, and I want to continue to hone in on my voice and to be more expressive and to communicate more and with greater ease and with greater clarity to others, and to really give other people a glimpse into, I guess, my psyche or my mind, in a way that opens up doors visually and maybe psychologically, or in someone's life, maybe the way that I think of things will open up doors for other people. So that is my art. I'm Hamid, I'm happy to talk about my art more, and looking forward to continuing to making my art and putting it out there and having positive feedback on my art. Thank you.